Hi children, today we are going to look into a new chapter, Cold War. Do you know what is Cold War?
Cold War? It's a war happening in a snow region.
Cold War is different from what you are thinking. So let us look into the module.
In this chapter, we are going to see about the chapter Cold War era. After the end of the Second World War, the Cold War had been started between the two superpower USA and USSR. Let's move on to Cuban Missile Crisis. Cuba was an ally of Soviet Union, diplomatic and financial aid from USSR. In April 1961, leaders of the USSR were worried that the USA would invade communist rule Cuba and overthrow its president Fidel Castro. In 1962, Nikita Khrushchev placed nuclear missiles in Cuba for converting into a Russian base. 3 weeks later, the USA President John F. Kennedy and his advisor tried to find a solution to avoid full-scale nuclear war. Kennedy ordered American ships to intercept any Soviet ship heading to Cuba as a way of warning USSR. This clash between the USA and the USSR came to known as a Cuban Missile Crisis.
The Cold War was the war of ideologies. The US followed the ideologies of liberal democracy and capitalism, while the USSR backed the ideology of socialism and communism. The Second World War 1939 to 1945 came to an end with the defeat of the Axis powers led by Germany, Italy and Japan by the Allied force led by the US, Soviet Union, Britain and France. It marked the beginning of the Cold War. The Second World War ended when the United States dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, causing Japan to surrender. But the Cold War, in spite of being an intense form of rivalry between great powers, remained a cold and not hot or a shooting war. It was due to the logic of difference. The logic of difference means when both sides have the capacity to respond against an attack and cause so much destruction that neither can afford to initiate war. The two superpowers and their allies were expected to behave as rational and responsible actors.
The two superpowers, that is the US and USSR, wanted to expand their spheres of influence in different parts of the world. Hence, they decided to take help of the smaller countries. These smaller states got the promise of protections, weapons and economic aid against their local rivals, mostly regional neighbors. The first division took place in Europe. Most countries of Western Europe sided the US and thus came to be known as Western Alliance. The countries of the Eastern Europe joined the Soviet camp and came to be known as Eastern Alliance. The Western Alliance formed itself into an organization, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization (NATO). It came into existence in April 1949 with 12 states. The Eastern Alliance, also known as the Warsaw Pact was led by the Soviet Union. It was established in 1955. Its principal function was to counter NATO's force in Europe. In East and Southeast Asia and in West Asia, the United States built an alliance system called the Southeast Asian Treaty Organization (SEATO) and the Central Treaty Organization (CENTO).
The arenas of Cold War refers to area where crisis and the war occurred or threatened to occur between the Allied system, but did not cross certain limits. The Cold War was also responsible for several shooting wars. The two superpowers were poised for direct encounters in Korea 1950 to 1953, Berlin in 1958 to 1962, the Congo in early 1960s, and several other places. Jawaharlal Nehru, one of the key leaders of TAM, played a key role in mediating between two Koreas. In Congo crisis, the UN Secretary General played a mediatory role. The US and USSR decided to collaborate in limiting or eliminating certain kinds of nuclear and non-nuclear weapons. The two sides signed three significant agreements within a decade. These were Limited Test Ban Treaty, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. Non-Allied movement offered the newly decolonized countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America a third option, that is, not to join any of the allies. NAM was founded by five leaders: Yugoslavia's Josip Broz Tito, India's Jawaharlal Nehru, Egypt's leader Gamal Abdel Nasser, Indonesia Sukarno, Ghana's Kwame Nkrumah strongly supported them. The first NAM summit was held in 1961 in Belgrade. Non-allied movement neither means isolationism nor neutrality. It played a role in mediating between two rival allies.
New economic order, first introduced in 1972 through the Santiago United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. The new International Economic Order (NIEO) represent an alternative worldview of the global political economy to emerge during the 1970s. These proposals included the revision of the international economy system in favor of third world countries, replacing the Bretton Woods system, which had benefited the leading states that had created it, especially the United States. Through developing countries of the non-aligned movement would critique increasing global inequality and promote their interest by improving their terms of trade, increasing development assistance, developed country tariff reduction, and other political agreements designed to reduce trade barriers. India followed a two-way policy regarding the Cold War. It did not join any of the alliances and raised voice against the newly decolonized countries, becoming part of these alliances. The non-alignment gave India the power to take international decisions and to balance one superpower against the other. India's policy of non-alignment was criticized on a number of counts, but still it has become both as an international movement and a core of India's foreign policy.